Abscond while the enemy is sleeping. I can almost take the freedom that we seeking. Next year will never come if we don't take it. The chains we break while we make our escape quick. One chance, so there's no time to wait.
In the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Got some trouble with the water. Got some trouble with the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Got some trouble with the water. Got some trouble with the water.
Time is spent, we all pay rent. I see the stars at the bars and it's still getting bent. And God sent with the message I bent. Yeah, Exodus, freedom's a must. Hands up, head high, let the Babylon bust. Avoid capture, humanity so bust. Wade in the water, watch the systems turn rust. The machines that crushed us return to dust. No more bloodhound tracking, scars on backs. Running from the cracker whips whacking. No wondering why kids are strapped, dismissing facts. Unleash the kraken, camouflage and water under skies we blacken. We are under attack by hands who want rule. Fools in the school and zoos with no clue. Pains manifested, wade naked where the curse force blazed.
In the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Got some trouble with the water. Got some trouble with the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade.
Use the stars as my beacon, keeping the plan on the hush as we speaking, sneaking off the plantation this evening. So gather all your courage, ain't a mission for the weakling. Mud seeping through our toes as we fleet with the visions of a better life for us as human beings. Abscond while the enemy is sleeping. I can almost take the freedom that we seeking. Next year will never come if we don't take it. The chains we break while we make our escape quick. One chance, so there's no time to wait. Grab an axe and make haste before they start chasing. That's why we wade through the water on purpose. Ripple effect as we disturb the surface. The flow interrupted by sheer threat. A certain depth beneath the waterline, peaks generating turbulence.
Look over yonder and what do you see? God's no trouble with the water. Holy Ghost isn't coming for me. God's no trouble with the water. If you don't believe it, I've been redeemed. God's no trouble with the water. Just follow me down to the Jordan stream.
Sometimes you find that the times are tough and there's nothing left but rough seas ahead. Too many of us
Can you sense
soldiers extinguished by an early death.
the consciousness that you are the presence, the silent presence, one could say, the silent presence in the background of your perceptions. And then you can sit here and instead of being a person, perceiving this through the veil of the person's conditioning, you sit here perceiving this room not through your personal sense of self, but through the simple, uncluttered, pure awareness. And that awareness is the still background to your sense perception, so to speak. So you're aware of the foreground, and in the foreground things appear and disappear, appear and disappear. Impermanence, fleetingness of everything. A house is built, then the house collapses or burns down. Bodies are born, grow, and then they get old and then they die. And situations, they come, they go very quickly. All these things happen in the foreground. Everything happens in the foreground, and even your thinking is, one could say, is still the foreground. Or what happens in your mind is the foreground. Ultimately, everything happens in your mind. But the background is the stillness behind it, which is the awareness. So, and this is what the Indian term Sahaja Samadhi was in both worlds. So, Samadhi itself you could totally withdraw and forget all about the so-called external world. Sahaja Samadhi can be in both worlds. So you sit here, aware of everything, and present. There's the presence in the background. And that is also a stillness. And that is your essence, identity, not the narrative of your personality, the narrative that calls itself my life. That's a short-lived phenomenon. So you are essentially the presence. That's a wonderful realization. And then, especially when things in the foreground become difficult because you lose something. In the foreground there's gain and there's loss. You gain something and you lose something. There's success and there's failure. And you have the opposites. There's even happiness and unhappiness. Happiness and unhappiness. But they can't even when as happiness arises, and there's still the stillness in the background. This happiness is still there, but even the happiness doesn't take you over because you have something more vital and deeper. So the happiness doesn't make you go, wow, yeah, I got it, wow. And 2 days later, I'm devastated. I thought I could trust this person. It was such a wonderful person. I've been deceived. It was horrible. It's all collapsed, or whatever it is. We went to some place that was promised some kind of fulfillment, and then you get there. Oh, the nuns. Oh no. So the fluctuation, happiness, unhappiness, there's something deeper than happiness and unhappiness, and that's the stillness behind it all. And from there you can observe. So, and then with something that makes you unhappy, it doesn't devastate you. It is, let's say, unfortunately, if you have witnessing something that is would usually be called tragic, or let's say your house is burned down, unfortunately, it can happen. Then you are there, you're not, of course you're not happy, but, and of course you could say you're unhappy, but not in it does not touch the deepest levels of your being anymore. It remains a surface room. Now the presence, consciousness, awareness. How do we use these words? One could say that when we say awareness, that means consciousness has become conscious of itself. Because you are consciousness, and you become conscious of yourself as consciousness. Consciousness is the greatest mystery in the universe. Even greater, much greater than even the mystery of outer space, infinite number of galaxies, or the mystery of atomic and subatomic particles.
I'm laughing
Very
because
mysterious.
someone in class, they're having a conversation in class, and someone was talking about what? Constantinople. Something about Constantinople. And someone thought they said God's hands are noble. And I just thought that was funny.
Taking all the strength that we possess not to relinquish. The people reach up to the divine with their hands. What was life-giving waters now lying in the sand.
Mysterious realm, but the most mysterious is consciousness. Nobody can tell you what it is. Because if you're looking for it, trying to examine it, it's like let's say you have a flashlight and you're shining the light, you're using the flashlight to look for the flashlight. You're losing in the light of, you're looking for it. So consciousness, scientists have a problem with consciousness because you cannot put it under a microscope. You cannot dissect it. It is not an object that you can see. Everything else is an object, but consciousness is the eternal subject. Where does it come from? The prevalent belief is, in mainstream science, that, or Edcoff mainstream doesn't know what it is, but it kind of implies that consciousness is a byproduct of matter. Matter being, in the case of humans, the human brain. And so the belief is that consciousness, somehow the chemical soup of the brain, which is a jelly-like substance in your head, this jelly-like substance, which nobody, it's incredibly complex, and somehow they say this produces something that is non-material. So there's matter of the consciousness, and then it produces something that is not matter. How is that possible? How can the chemical brain produce all this?
Interesting discussions in class. They're just talking about kind of consciousness and encapsulations and how it is interesting. We all have a unique print, so to speak, a memory. So someone is saying, right, like let's take a learned skill or something, anything. Right, so they're saying, right, someone were to say to you, in front of you, and let's say in front of you there is a table, there's a bucket, and there's a blue ball sitting next to that bucket. I want you to put the blue ball into the bucket. Simple, right? I mean, unless the ball is bigger than the bucket, but let's, for this thought process, say the ball fits. You understand what they're saying. I mean, maybe there's some language barriers and they don't understand what you're saying. They don't even know you're talking about the table, the bucket, or the ball. So we're going to need a visual. We're going to have to get them to understand. You need them to mimic you. You're going to pick up the ball and you're going to keep putting it in the bucket until they copy you. Right, I mean, how can you communicate that to that thing without any kind of words or something? Right? So that's kind of an easy task. Now, if you were to say to something, there's a car in front of you. You need to change the tire. The back rear driver's side tire. Okay, you don't have to say back and rear. You can just say the back driver's side or rear driver's side tire. Maybe they've changed a tire. That's in their memory. They know how to do it. Okay, easy. They changed a tire. Okay, so say you get somebody, they've never changed a tire. I've seen it done. Okay, hold on. I know you do this. They might be able to figure it out, right? Maybe, maybe not. They might not have the physical strength to do it. Tires are heavy. Right? How can you pass on that knowledge to anything? Build a playground. You can't just do that, right? It's going to take supplies, tools. You might need help, depending on what size playground you're building. Right, I mean, you may know people. Just can make a call. Done. I got guys on the way. It's okay. That's cheating. You never said I had to do it myself. You just said build a playground. If you make a call, they will come. Right, no, I mean, it's an interesting, speaking of that kind of consciousness. From the simplest task, yeah, anything. It's really incredible when you think about it. And how precious life is, and the importance of learning just simple tasks like put the ball in the bucket and wash your hands. What does this mean? What are these hands things that you speak of?
Beautiful works of art, music, technology, all, and this experience of this moment. Nobody knows, but some of the great scientists, they recognized that consciousness ultimately is not a product of the brain, but transcends all that it is, that the foundation of the universe is not matter, physical matter, but consciousness itself. And here we come to my phone. Now, is this phone conscious? I don't know. It may be on its way to consciousness. Would it produce consciousness, or would it be a receiver of consciousness? Your brain, does it produce consciousness? Or is it like a radio that receives consciousness from it and then transforms it into mind stuff and into thoughts and into words? Does your brain receive consciousness or produce consciousness? For example, there was one of the most famous physicists, Max Planck, German physicist, the founder of quantum mechanics. If you want to know what that is, go to Google. And so, but he was one of the great scientists, more as a contemporary of Einstein. There was a group of great physicists at that time that had made enormous discoveries in the realm of the subatomic realm.